If you're someone who hires people, you know the feeling. You've got a stack of resumes, a packed calendar, and this one massive job. You have to find the right person. And let's be honest, it's a real challenge and it is so easy to get it wrong. So today, we're going to break down the most common mistakes people make in interviews and, way more importantly, how you can avoid them.
So let me just ask you this. When you're sitting across the table from a candidate, what do you really trust? Is it their resume? All your years of experience? Or is it that gut feeling, that little voice that just says, yep, this is the one? You know, we love to think our intuition is some kind of superpower. But what if it's actually your biggest weakness?
And this can be a tough pill to swallow, but that trusted gut feeling, well, it's often the very thing that leads us down the wrong path. It can cause us to completely overlook the best people and, you guessed it, hire the wrong ones.
So that leads us right into our first big idea, what we're calling the intuition trap. We're going to dive into why leaning on your instinct is so risky and how even the absolute best intentions can lead to some predictably bad hires.
Look, it's totally natural to trust our own judgment. I mean, we have to just to get through the day. But the science on this is really clear. Our brains are just full of these hidden biases and mental shortcuts that are running in the background. And in a high-stakes situation like an interview, those little unconscious errors can have huge consequences.
All right, so what do these errors actually look like when they show up at work? We've boiled it all down to 5 of the most common mistakes that pop up again and again. Let's get into them.
5 of them. And as we go through each one, I want you to ask yourself if any of them sound, well, a little too familiar. I'm willing to bet they will. Okay, first up, just winging it. You know how this goes. With one candidate, you're digging into their last big project. With the next, you're just chatting about their hobbies. The problem? You're now comparing apples to oranges. If you don't ask consistent questions, there is just no objective way to figure out who's actually the better fit for the role. Next, we've got the incredible power of a first impression. This is the halo and horn effect. One little positive thing, let's say you both went to the same college, that creates a halo that suddenly makes everything else they say sound brilliant. And the opposite is the horn effect, where something small, maybe a weak handshake, unfairly sours your view of their actual skills. Oh, this one is a big one. Confirmation bias. Your gut decides you like someone within, say, the first 2 minutes. So what do? You start asking questions to confirm that feeling. Stuff like, so it sounds like you were really the hero on that project, huh? You're not gathering information anymore. You're just hunting for evidence that your gut was right all along. Let's face it, everybody loves a great conversation. But you can't confuse being charmed with being competent. A candidate can be incredibly charismatic and easy to talk to, but can they actually do the job? Can they write code or manage a budget or lead a team? When you focus too much on good banter, you risk hiring a fantastic lunch buddy instead of the best person for the job. And the last error really ties all of this together. After a full day of interviews, how do you really make a decision? Way too often, it's just a vague feeling, right? I don't know, I just liked candidate B more. Without a simple, predefined scoring system, your decision is based on a fuzzy memory and feelings, not on real evidence. Okay, so we've just walked through the 5 biggest errors. But why do we keep making them? What's the engine that's really driving all these mistakes? Well, it all comes down to one single thing: the hidden influence of bias. And this right here is the crucial point. Unconscious bias doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you a person with a human brain. Our brains are designed to create these little shortcuts to process information faster. Now, that instinct was great for keeping us safe out on the savannah, but in the interview room, it leads to these snap judgments that are often just completely wrong. This quote really says it all, doesn't it? Our brains are built for efficiency, for shortcuts. But when you're doing something as complex as hiring, that efficiency can be an absolute disaster. Taking a mental shortcut to judge someone's entire career is, kind of like taking a shortcut right off a cliff. All right, we've talked a lot about the problem, and it might sound a little bleak, but the good news is there's a clear, proven solution. And it's not about trying to get rid of your bias. That's basically impossible. It's about building a system that makes your bias irrelevant. The solution is structure. I mean, just look at the difference here. It is night and day. On the left, you've got the old way, unstructured, relying on gut feelings, inconsistent, and honestly, a pretty terrible predictor of success. And on the right, you've got the upgrade, structured, based on data, consistent, fair, and way, way more accurate. The choice is pretty obvious. So how do you actually do this? Well, it's a pretty simple 5-step process. First, you define the core skills you actually need for the job. Second, you write the exact same questions for every single candidate to test for those skills. Third, you build a simple 1 to 5 scoring scale. 4, you do the interviews, asking everyone those same questions. And 5, this is the most important step, you make your final call based on the data from your scorecard, not on the small talk. And all of this brings us to our main takeaway. Great hiring, it's not some kind of art form that's based on intuition. It's a science. It's about designing a process that's built to find the best candidate, not just leaving it up to chance or a flawed gut feeling. If you only remember one thing from all of this, please make it this right here. The single biggest improvement you can make to how you hire is to replace intuition with structure. That is the fundamental shift. So, I'll leave you with this question. You don't have to overhaul everything all at once. What's the one piece of your current process? Maybe it's the questions, maybe it's the scoring that you can start to structure today. Because even one small step towards structure is a giant leap towards better hiring.